We're in section 1.2 where we're going to use segments and congruency. So some terms that we're going to be looking at not only in today's stuff, but as we look on into the future, especially when we get into dealing with formal proofs, we're going to be looking at postulates and theorems. So postulates and axioms are rules that are accepted without proof. All right, so there's a bunch of postulates that we're going to look at and say, all right, we don't need to prove those because they're already accepted. Theorems, on the other hand, are rules that we must prove. Okay, and we're going to show you how to do that and all that good stuff. So some of the things that we've looked at, especially 3 points are collinear. You can say 1 point is between the other two. All right, so that's like a postulate. So when you get into congruency, anytime that we have lines that are congruent, that means that they are the same length, and it's almost like they're equal, but congruent has the equal sign, but that wavy line right above it. So that's the symbol for congruency. So we have here, it says we got the ruler postulate. The ruler postulate states that the points on a line can be matched 1 to 1 with real numbers. The real number that corresponds to a point is the coordinate of a point. So you got names of points. So we got A and B. Those, if we were looking at them into coordinates, we could say that that's x coordinate 1 or x coordinate 2. Coincide with that, we can say that the distance between points A and B are written as a absolute value of the difference of the coordinates of A and B. So if this is going to be some value, some number, and it's going to be equal to some other number, we can say that it's the absolute value of the difference of x1 minus x2. So here you got A and B, with A being 17, we have B being 25. You can take the difference of those, which is 17 minus 25, which equals -8, but we got to put the absolute value attached to it, which means that our value, or the distance between A and B, is 8. Postulate 2 talks about segment addition postulate. So if you have a point between 2 points, so in this case B is between A and C, then we can say that the addition of whatever the distance of A and B added by the distance of B and C is going to be equal to the entire line segment AC. So here we have AC, so in this case, just like the postulate, it's going to be AB plus BC, line segment AB plus line segment BC is going to equal line segment AC. Well, they have numbers attached to it. AB is 33 and BC is 14. Add those together, we get 47. So other things that we look at it here, so like they have like a road trip. The location shown line in a straight line, the distance from the starting point to the destination. So point S and point D, starting point is S, D is the destination. There's a rest stop that they had in between that. So to figure out the sum of the starting point to the destination is essentially it's SR, line segment SR to line segment RD. We can put those values in there and say this is going to be 64 miles and this is 87 miles. So 64 plus 87 is 151. So we can say that the distance from starting point to destination is 151 miles. All right. It says, what is the reason why this addition can be done? Well, this addition can be done is because we have we have to use all the information given to us in order to solve the problem. Which means that we had to take into account the distance from the starting point to rest area because that's what they gave us. They gave us resting point to destinations because that's what they gave us. So we have to use that information to help us uh, find the distance from starting point to destination. So we had to use all the information given to us in order to solve the problem. Here, they want us to find line segment KL, which is right here. Okay, now they give us the distance of JL, which is 38. They give us the distance of JK, which is 15. So to figure out what KL is simply going to equal 38 because it's part of this portion here. And then I subtract it from here, which is 15. So I got 38 minus 15, and that gives me 23. All right. Some instances you may be asked what the distance is on a coordinate plane. Sometimes they're asking you to determine something like in this case, they want you to determine if line segment FG is congruent to line segment HJ. So if you look here, FG is a horizontal line, which is going from left to right. And basically what you can do is just subtract the x values. Or you can just, since it is, on this horizontal line, we can just count the coordinates. You can just say like, all right, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know that FG is 5 units. And yeah, HG is a um, vertical line, so you could subtract the x, or I'm sorry, subtract the y coordinates, or you can just count like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, this is also 5 units. So both of them are 5 units. We can now make the assumption that FG is congruent to HJ. And if you look here, they have these dash marks here. All right, those dash marks help us represent a line segment that has the same length. So in future problems, and you look at like, oh, like say you have a triangle like this, and it's like A, B, and C, and you see that you have two dash marks between A, B, and BC. That means that those two particular line segments are equal. All right. This one is not uh, equal, so it would be like an isosceles triangle. So we look here. They're giving us points to look at. We have to plot them, and then they want us to determine if AB is congruent to uh, CD. So point A is at negative 2, 1. So I go 2 to the left, 1 down. So that's where point A is. And B is 4, negative 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1. So that's where B is. C is at 3 comma 0. I'll make it a different color, which is right there. That's not different. Sorry about that. And D is at 3 comma 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll make it into a line segment, and this one also a line segment. So we look at A. The distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So AB is equal to 6 units. and CD is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So CD is 5 units. So by looking at the coordinates, AB is not congruent to CD because 6 does not equal 5. And that is being able to use segments and congruency. Hope this helps. Until next time.